It is the 23rd, is it not? Yes, 23rd of July, 2025. It's an important point for me to mention what date it is because, as you can tell, as you can feel, across the country, we are in full campaign mode. I mean, Kenyans would like to say, wait until we start. But you can see across the country that the conversations from the political class, the environment around Parliament, State House, is all pointing to 2027. Camps are already forming, ideologies not yet seen. There is defense of scorecards from the past 3 years, and there is a lot of poking of holes into this scorecard. For us, is to paint a picture of exactly where we are as a country this morning or this year, and then I ask proper questions that are going to help shape proper conversations on exactly where we are as a country. So this morning, we have a big question that we want to ask you. When you look at Ruto allies versus Gachagua, the question is going to be, who has the vote? That's our big conversation this morning, and you can get involved at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. My name is Simba Elijah Charles King. Again, just before we delve into that topic, also, we introducing the gentlemen who are joining us in our conversation this morning. Let's jump then online and see exactly what we have on our day list this morning. If I could start with the Daily Nation, it is essentially just talking about what we are going to talk about this morning as well. It's talking about UDA bigwigs plot exodus. All right. The headline reading, already under siege from a rebel faction allied to ousted Deputy President Rigathi Gachagua. The woes of the governing United Democratic Alliance are set to worsen, with the top former loyalists, including the Senate Majority Whip, joining the rebellion. The man tasked with whipping members to toe the line has declared the party dead. That's exactly what you're going to meet on the front page of the Daily Nation. Pictures there of one Bonica Loale, Gloria Oroba, Mohammed Ali, Joash Nyamoko, Jen Kihara, and Didi Nyoro, among those frontliners who are saying, well, we got to step out. All right, we're going to talk about that this morning as well. Other headlines that you're going to meet is how 25,000 promoted teachers are lamenting over elusive new higher salaries. That story is on page 8. There's also a story here on how state is now slapping more terrorism charges on protest suspects. That story has been covered on page 4 as well. And there's a story here on page 18 that is very interesting on how NTSA is now revealing, after an audit that was conducted by the Auditor General's office, that they do not own control over that portal, which is really very important in terms of vehicle transfer and vehicle business in the country. Quite interesting as well. You're going to read that story on page 18 of the Daily Nation. Let me move then closer to other dailies as well. Let's look at the Standard. This is exactly what they're saying. There's a big headline here, and they're calling it the way it is. And this is the big corner. And this is directed to Deputy Inspector General of Police Eliud Lagat, and they're saying that he lied to the country about his stepping aside to pave way for investigations into the death of Albert Ojwang at Central Police Station. In June 6th statement, Lagat announced that he had opted to step aside to allow for investigations to proceed unhindered. But fresh court filings reveal a different story, according to the Standard, that he merely applied for an 18-day annual leave approved the same day by Police IG Douglas Kanja, who wished him a restful break. All right. In a sworn reply, Lagat now insists that he never vacated office nor appointed a replacement, contradicting his own statement. The open lie has reignited questions about his integrity, transparency, and toothless as a civil servant. Big story right there on the Standard this morning. And that essentially forms then the back end of our conversation this morning as well. That means then it's time for me to introduce the gentlemen who are joining us in the studio this morning. Allow me introduce one, Callistus Wafula, who's a member of Parliament aspirant, Embakasi East. Mr. Wafula, how are you doing, sir?
I'm fine.
Happy to have you around.
Thank you.
Also joining us this morning, we do have Omondi Ongoma, who's an MCA aspirant 2027. Mr. Omondi, how are you doing, sir?
Good.
Happy to have you around. Gentlemen, let me start you off with the dailies this morning before we jump into our big conversation. I would like to start with what the Standard is saying. And Mr. Wafula, I'd like for you to weigh in on this. They've called him the big corner. That is the DIG. Turns out he never stepped aside, and thus are the revelations that are coming from court now. Remember that big statement on June 16th. This is where we find ourselves now. Are they right to call it the way they've called it, the big con? Or you would have a dissenting statement on that?
Right. And what is coming out clearly is that the head of state is not in control. And if he's in control, he's the one doing it. How can your employee say he stepped aside, then he comes to make such kind of assertions? So this administration is full of lies. Ruto's administration have done a lot against the will of people. And what we can say right now, it's not about Langat. It's about the administration of William Ruto. What is he doing about it? Because if this person stepped aside and he has come to how can I say it? He has refused that he never stepped aside.
Yes.
Then there is a pause somewhere. We should fire him. What is he doing about it? So we cannot complain about Langat assertions, forgetting about there is a head of state who was given mandate by Kenyans to govern with the constitution and the rule of law, and is doing nothing. What we know, what Langat did, Langat was serving his boss, who is William Ruto. And the mistakes he did that he was supposed to resign because of the same.
Yes.
Those mistakes, maybe the head of state never saw them as mistakes. That's why there is those corners. They want to run away from being held accountable for their mistakes. And he was answerable because this man was in the helm of all the crimes that were committed during the protest of Gen Z protest and Azimio protest. Not Azimio, the Gen Z, because he was appointed recently. But I'm saying, why should we be blaming people that are serving the master who is not? That is the biggest question. And the Standard is right to put that the headline.
That's it.
Yeah.
Modi, do you stand with this headline, or you would have different views on this one?
I think I would call it the normal con.
Yes.
Not the big one. It is the normal one. Just the same cons that we see in Kenya. So there's nothing special about the DIG lying to the public. We've seen lies in various regimes. So to me, it's just the normal con. It's not a big one.
Yes.
Yeah.
Who should we be blaming on this? Just before we went on air, I was telling you how the police force in this country works. Are we going to sit here and say that's not a decision reversed? Because we knew the kind of pressure that it was under. Immediately, the country learned of the death of one Ojwang. And he came out and gave a statement on what his position was on this particular issue. Then a couple of hours later, there was a big statement that indeed I am stepping aside to allow for investigations to continue on this particular matter unhindered. That was his own words. So we're not going to sit here and say that, well, that wasn't his feeling that indeed because of the pressure on this particular issue, I'm going to step aside. And it was clear, according to him. So when it turns out that he didn't step aside, shouldn't we be asking the right questions? Who is this who has the power to reverse that decision that was made by the DIG on this particular matter? Is that not where our attention should be heading?
Yeah, exactly. Somebody has to take responsibility, because the DIG is not just anybody. He is a key person in the leadership of the police, and he answers to somebody. And if that person was aware that the DIG was lying, he was going on leave, and yet he said he had stepped aside, then that person who gave the permission, or that person who kept quiet when he was lying to the public, has to take responsibility.
Yes.
So who that person is should be the question. Should it be the IG? Should it be the president? So that is the person that we need to find out. I don't know who. So whether it is the president or the IG, that I don't know. But somebody has to take responsibility.
Yes.
Yeah.
I'm just gonna go to the details here so that we see who essentially might be the one to take the blame, or indeed it was just the DIG who gave conflicting information. Here it is. It turns out that there's quite a picture here that was released in court yesterday of that leave of application form, and here it is. It's dated 16th June 2025. And this is what the statement reads. I'm just going to read the last part of this statement. It says that I undertake to provide any support that may be required of me during investigations of the unfortunate incident, and I offer immense condolences to the family of Mr. Albert Ojwang for their great loss. That's according to Eliud Lagat, who's now the Deputy Inspector General, Kenya Police Service, and it was signed 16th June 2025. This is a statement that went out to media houses across the country. All right. Now let's read when. Now let's attach that then to the revelations that were made in court. It was revealed that he applied. Now listen to this. He applied for an 18-day annual leave, approved the same day by Police IG Douglas Kanja, who wished him a restful break. Let's look at it. I mean, the factors here that we have to break down. We do know that according to government policy, you don't apply for leave today and you get it today. We do know. I mean, for those of us who've worked in government offices, you have to give a notice, and I believe it's 2 weeks. You have to say that I'm going on leave on this and this particular date, so that they can see whether indeed your HR department can see whether indeed you qualify for that particular leave. Those are the steps that you take. But here is a man who applied for leave, an 18-day annual leave, on the same day, and it was approved on that particular day. So when you look at those two factors here, there's a man here saying that I need to step aside. But his stepping aside was applied through an 18-day annual leave. So should we say that in his mind, the DIG said, I need to take leave, as opposed to stepping aside? Callistus, are you going to be so much, let me use the word, biased, when we are losing this particular situation here on semantics? I said I'm going to step aside, but I didn't tell you how I was supposed to step aside, which exonerates the two men above him, who are the IG and the president, in that chain of command.
That the president is the one doing it, because IG could have just reminded this person that is not what they agreed, or that is not what he said. He said in public. So all this, the whole scenario here is all about the president. President need to get things right.
In his defense, Callistus, IG just approved an 18-day annual leave. The only great point here is that it was done on the same day. But there's a man here who's saying, I need to step aside to allow for investigations.
They're playing games.
Yes.
They are playing games because they have been given instructions on how to handle the issue. That is where the problem is. There's somebody who is in charge of all these things, because what they did, he knew what they did. According to him, they have committed no crime. So according to William Ruto, Lang'at should not have resigned. And therefore, they are playing games because of the instruction given by the head of state. We cannot blame anybody because these things are very serious. If this person stepped aside because of Ochwang state,
yes,
we cannot take such a kind of matter lightly. We say that now he's playing games and the president is seeing and the IG also seeing. That is nonsense.
What is this stepping aside, Omondi? What is this stepping aside? Because now we can see exactly what he meant. I mean, we're trying to digest this information. I want to step aside. Then I come and apply for an 18-day leave based on me stepping aside. And you're my boys, and you know exactly what's going on around this situation. So we can see probably why that 18-day annual leave was approved on that particular day. Apply today, I'm going to get it today because I want to step aside. Did we self-interpret what stepping aside as a public meant to DIG without really us asking him what it really meant? Because even going on for an 18-day annual leave is also stepping aside. Is it not?
I think it is a tricky one, Elijah, because
yes,
I want to agree with him partially that the DIG, because this thing was in public that Ojwang was dead, and the main suspect in this, the person who, ordered for Ojwang's arrest all the way from Homa Bay to Nairobi, was the DIG.
Yes.
And then the president was aware, and then there were calls for this guy to get out of office because he had made his bit of the mistakes that he made. So I think the president was aware. But then again, when you talk about applying for leaves and stepping aside, it's not only in the government, in government. When you apply for leave, you cannot apply for leave today and get it approved the same day.
What if there's
even in the private sector, it doesn't work like that.
What if there's a condition that is necessitating this leave that I'm applying for?
Then that would not be okay. Leaves apply, yeah, such kind of leaves exist. Then
yes,
you would be told you are going on it's called a forced leave.
Yes.
Is it? Yeah,
forced
compulsory.
Leave. Yes,
compulsory leave.
Yes.
Yeah. So what I don't know, and I cannot say, I'm not going to talk about, is I don't know how it works where, but I know there exists something called compulsory leave.
Yes.
I don't know how immediately it happens. Yeah, I don't know how it happens in the police. I don't know how it happens in government.
Yes.
But I know it applies.
No, knowing this case now, Omoni, you know exactly what condition this leave was applied under. Look here, I'm a DIG. There's a guy who purportedly was attacking me, was arrested, brought all the way to Nairobi, is dead. Every other person in the country knows the history of this particular person and this particular case, and they want to believe that because I was the key factor in him getting arrested, I might be behind the demise of this individual. That's the pressure. Now the entire country is up in arms asking you questions as to the demise of this particular individual. That's the pressure. And the investigations have started. So that was a presser that was made by him, saying that I'm going to step aside. And then this guy applies for this particular leave. Those are the conditions, that's the pressure that he was under. It was approved, all right? So this stepping aside, did we misinterpret it? He didn't say, I am resigning. He actually, in fact, that word, we might even want to start to look for the meaning. What is stepping aside?
Misinterpreting the stepping aside. Is it us or him? Because I think it is
us.
him.
It could be us. He's back in office. I mean, he's back in office.
Because for us, he told us that did he tell us that he's stepping aside?
That's it.
Or he has resigned? Which one did he say?
He said, I'm stepping aside.
He's stepping aside.
And I'm going to read it. I'm going to read it for you.
Yeah.
This is what he said. I have today and this is verbatim, this is the statement that was released to media houses, I have today opted to step aside from the office of the Deputy Inspector General, Kenya Police Service, pending completion of investigations. Now here, listen to this. The functions of the office will henceforth be performed by my deputy until completion of the investigations. Is it not clear? He just said, well, I'm going to walk out of that office. And he said, well, my functions will be taken over by my deputy. Did we misinterpret it, Omonde?
Then we did, because the investigation is over.
They are not over, because the case is still in court.
Yeah, so why has he come back? Because, yeah, then I agree, we misinterpreted it. Because
Then we should either blame the president or the IG.
In his statement, he says
Yes.
he's handing over his responsibilities to his deputy
Yes.
until investigations are over. They are not yet over.
Yes.
That is what he says. Then, as such, I would agree with you that yes, we did misinterpret the stepping aside.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen.
That's why I'm saying
Yes.
we should either blame the IG or the president.
Yeah.
The
I want
man
us-
is just free.
Yes, yes. I want us to also throw our eyes briefly on what the Daily Nation has this morning as well. And I know we're speaking about this just before we went on air, on exactly how parties are shaping up to the 2027 general elections. If you look at this particular headline, they're talking about how UDA bigwigs are now plotting exodus from the party. I mean, big names here, like Bonnie Kaluale, who's a Senate Majority Whip. There is Gloria Roba, who's an ousted senator. There is Mohammed Ali, who's Nyali Member of Parliament. There are the likes of Jane Kihara, Naivasha Member of Parliament, Didi Nyoro, Kiharu Member of Parliament. I mean, when you look, and I know this also forms part of our conversation this morning on who's got the vote between Ruto allies and one Rigathi Gachagua. When you look at these particular faces, do you think they've got impact in how UDA is going to face the general election in 2027? What weight do they carry? When you look at the likes of Mohammed Ali, Nyali Member of Parliament, Ndidi Nyoro, Kiharu Member of Parliament, Jane Kihara, Naivasha Member of Parliament, one Bonnie Kaluale, what weight do they carry if indeed they walk out?
Elisha, let me just remind you, there is some few years, or if not months,
Yes.
I was on your bench and I told you clearly that politicians have failed and the young people will raise up, and they rose up. Those are Gen Z. They came to rose up, they rose up against this regime.
Yes.
And what is happening now is that a lot of people will leave UDA. That is not a secret. That is something that is open. They are going to leave UDA because the king is naked. And this king is making an open mistakes whereby even a sane person cannot say, you cannot say comfortably, I support the UDA.
Yes.
That's why we are wondering, how did Raila Odinga abandon his mission of pushing Ruto out of office and joining him with all his bodyguards, supporting him almost to the man? And this is the person who stole election victory of Raila Odinga. I expected this man to leave, to continue pushing him, so that he deliver on some of the things he told Kenyans he will do. William Ruto is doing nothing. When you see the head of state talking about employment, about Mijengo, those casual laborers, undertaking our youths to Arabian, Saudi Arabia, I don't know, Arabic countries.
Yes.
That it completely tells you that the head of state is doing nothing. He's creating zero employment opportunities. He has no plans. And what is happening now is that a lot of people are planning to leave his party. When we talk about Rigathi Gachagua started talking about
Yes.
the Gen Zs.
Guess what, Callistus? I want you to hold your thought right there, because
Yeah.
the next part of our conversation is going to be that.
Yeah.
Just take a minute before we're going to break and then come back and talk about Rigathi Gachagua versus Ruto allies, because I mean, we've got to ask ourselves the question, where are they going to head to? These ones who are leaving, who want to leave UDA. Amodi, in just 1 minute, do they carry the weight within that party?
They do, because first of all, you look at people, the amount of influence these people have. Somebody
Yes.
like Muhammad Ali, Boni Khalwale, in Uruoba, because I think Uruoba has great following with the young people who are now pulling the shots in the political whatever. And Boni Khalwale is a good mobilizer.
Yes.
We know what he can do. Muhammad Ali, you know, he was a journalist before he became a politician, and he has a following. And then he's that kind of person who is very confident. So when they leave the president's party, like he says, I agree, it is going to be of great impact to the president. But again, like I said, politics is a game of interest. When somebody leaves, a vacuum is created, another post, and somebody will come in. You know, so when they go, of course, they will live with their supporters and those who believe in them, but somebody else will come in. So for me, I don't always believe that defections can really, you know, stagnate the performance of a political parties, as long as the leaders of those parties know what they are doing. It has happened before, and we've seen people rebranding after defections. So
Yes.
Yes, it will, you know, create impact.
Yes.
But it depends on how the political party leaders rebrand themselves after they leave.
Pretty much. Yeah. Guess what? I want us to take a tiny breather, because once we come back now, we'll be weighing in on this exodus. Where are they going to go? Because it looks as if they're up for the taking, and there are men and women within the political class who are sort of looking at 2027. And we do know in history, our general elections in this country have always been two-faced. It's either one or the other. So the question this morning is going to be, when you look at Ruto and his allies, and Gachagua and his allies, who is got the vote? One, Gachagua is saying, look here, I've got the numbers, and we're going to clinch that 2027 top seat in the country. Who's saying the truth? Once we come back right here on The Morning Drift at Look Up TV across all your social media platforms, talk to us, and we shall talk to you back.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Look Up, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu, kwa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hao sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi man.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
Start your day with a workout routine, an exciting moment of exercise that is simple but powerful for your ultimate fitness. Build your strength, shape and body muscles with lunges, push-ups, squats, burpees, planks, dumbbells and more. Let's work out every Monday to Saturday from 6:30 a.m. on Fitness Zone, a one surefire way to attack your fitness regimen effectively.
Save a Life is a non-profit organization that has taken the front line in transforming lives in the entire country. So far, we have transformed life of over 100,000 people through our programs, which include medical support, youth empowerment, street family program, feeding program, and climate change. Join us today as we transform lives. As we always say, service to humanity is service to God. Save a life, transforming lives.
All right. Welcome back to the Morning Drift. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. We are still with Mr. Callistus Wafula and Mr. Omondi this morning. Now let's talk about the big conversation then. If you look at the statements that are coming from one Rigathi Gachagua, he is completely convinced that he is the man for 2027. In fact, if you listen to his statements as from the 20th of July, then it's come out clearly to say, I am the front runner. But it's not only him who's saying that he's a front runner, because we do know some individuals, including the likes of Juan Maraga, Juan Matiang'i, they've come out to say that they're actually gunning for that top seat in the country. This coming on the back of these exits that we're reading this morning from UDA. But you can also feel that there's a conviction within UDA that as it stands, despite of the onslaught that we're seeing from one Rigathi Gachagua, that indeed they're also convinced that it's going to be a walkover in 2027 for one President, Dr. William Ruto. The factions are already forming and allies are shaking hands in the running to the 2027 election. The biggest ally, as it appears to be for one President, William Ruto, is Raila Amolo Odinga, who's come out and vowed that he's going to stand with one President, Dr. William Ruto, all the way to 2027. So the question this morning is, between Ruto and his allies and one Rigathi Gachagua, who has the vote? I want to start with you, Callistus. I mean, that's the question that we have. Let's first start by weighing in on the Raila Amolo Odinga factor. I also want you to cast your sentiments on where we are with Musalia Mudavadi and Moses Wetangula in this conversation as well. So could you paint a picture? When you look at the allies that have already stood with one William Ruto, are they still going to deliver that vote?
On Raila Odinga, I can comfortably tells you on this show that Raila Odinga, if he's not running, he's not going to give William Ruto votes. And if he's running, William Ruto will not have his votes. So Raila's factor will not help William Ruto to recapture his second term.
Wait,
what I'm trying to say is that Raila factor, when you listen to Sifuna yesterday on Citizen TV, he said clearly that there are people, the old members of ODM, who are pushing Raila Odinga to work with William Ruto. But majority of ODM supporters, they are not with William Ruto. And he said very clearly, that one means is that even Sifuna is not with William Ruto, but Sifuna is just working, is not, he doesn't want to make it public that him and the party leader, they have disagreed on principle.
Yes.
But now, what I want to tell you today is that why are people running away from Raila Odinga? This is the man who say he fought for democracy, he fought for rule of law, he fought for multi-party. The man we have known to be a champion of everything good that we are yearning. But now when we were demonstrating during Azimio protest, this man left us on street. That was one of the reasons why Gen Z came to occupy that space. And William Ruto should know that even him working with Raila Odinga, That was one of the reasons why Gen Z rose up, because it came out clearly that there is nobody who is there to fight for us.
Yes. And
that there is no way we can tell these young people that they are waiting for employment, they are waiting for this country to grow so that they also have life. Then somebody who is now fighting for them has left them, has joined the government, has never given us any concrete reason why he joined William Ruto. And when he was on the road, he was championing for William Ruto to go home. He was pushing for William Ruto to go home because William Ruto stole his election victory. And we know very well, me, I supported Raila Odinga. I want to tell you that a majority of followers who used to support Raila Odinga, who voted for Raila Odinga, they are not with him. We are not with him because he are confirmed beyond reasonable doubt.
Yes.
That he is not a man we can trust.
Yes.
In fact, the things
but
he
Callistus, even as you say that, we haven't seen so many people other than the likes of one Senator. What is his name?
Babu Wino.
Not Babu Wino. Babu Wino has actually not even come out to say that we do not like what Raila Odinga is doing.
Because it's
just a few individuals within that political affiliation that are coming out to say, well, we are confused, we do not know exactly what is going on. One of the people who have actually come out to say is Sifuna, who's saying, well, but I disagree with what Baba is saying.
What Sifuna said, we have seen it. Because when you look at somebody of the
question being, why is he the only one who's coming out vocally to speak like that? Why can't we see that as a rejoinder from within ODM?
He has just put things in perspective.
Yes.
In the way people can now understand.
Yes.
Because just recently I saw Gladys Wanga defending William Ruto, saying that we cannot have somebody serving five-year term when Jomo Kenyatta served 15 years, Uhuru Kenyatta 10 years. But that kind of nonsense, we cannot equate William Ruto with Jomo Kenyatta.
Yes.
Jomo Kenyatta gave people land. Jomo Kenyatta made sure that every region was given what belongs to them.
Yes.
So how can we compare William Ruto with even Uhuru Kenyatta when we compare William Ruto with the former president Daniel Toroitich Moi? Then Moi looks like an angel, because William Ruto, what he has done to us, William Ruto has got the personal issues with the Kenyan citizens, the voters. He has killed our children. He has done so many things that we have never had such a kind of administration in our country since independence. So how can we compare even William Ruto with Jomo Kenyatta? We cannot compare the two. Number two, when Raila Odinga joined William Ruto, they started a narrative that they had one side started it in 2007, raising against Kikuyu. So the question I have to ask the two, why is it that whenever William Ruto is working with the Raila Odinga, we must have a conversation on how to isolate Kikuyus? And we are saying, for us as Kenyans, we don't have personal issues with the people who have led this country. Because if we compare the administration of William Ruto and Uhuru Kenyatta, the two is like just Nikisa na Mjana. So we cannot say William Ruto is doing better because William Ruto, he comes from Rift Valley. We cannot forget about the killings that has been done to Genesis. We cannot forget about people who are killed during Azimio protest just because Raila is working with William Ruto. And Sifuna said it clearly that they are working with William Ruto for some other reasons. But those other reasons, he said, the people supporting Raila Odinga to work with William Ruto, they are the best people to explain for us. So meaning, the other reason is just they are fitting. There's something that the people are working with William Ruto, they are looting public money, to say it in a simpler term. They are looting public money. That's why you can see there is an empowerment program whereby Ruto administration, they are moving around giving people money. And when you ask them where are they getting this money from, they don't have an answer. But you can see, like they went to Vihiga, you know the president has contributed 3 million, the deputy 2 million, then in the Musalia 1 million, the area MP 50,000, then the MCA 20,000. And that trend has been consistent. And when you two match on the kind of groups they are giving that money, you realize that even the end now, the person receiving the money, you like in Vihiga, the women told us they got around 67 shillings because you are contributing that money to a group of almost 1,000 groups of women.
That's it.
So is that an empowerment program or they are sanitizing poverty?
Here's the thing. I want you to speak on that Raila factor and the allies that he has from that particular region as well. Omodi, let me also get your sentiments on this as well. We've started from Ruto's allies, and the biggest ally for Ruto, we do know currently as it is, a man who commands a big voting bloc in this country, is one Raila Amolo Odinga. If his bet is on Raila Amolo Odinga, and the Raila Amolo Odinga we know, the support that he enjoys in the country, then Ruto is convinced, if I move with this guy all the way to 2027, I've got those numbers that he's been enjoying. Is that still a factor? Is Raila Amolo Odinga still a factor in the way that this country is going to vote in 2027? And if indeed is a factor, then Omondi, you'll be confirming here that Ruto's ally, the biggest one, Raila Amolo Odinga, has got the vote.
Nothing has stopped Raila Amolo Odinga from being a factor. He is a very big one, because just before I answer that, I'm coming to that. Allow me to correct him.
Yes.
Mr. Wafula, let me remind you that Kenyatta did not give Kenyans land after independence. He gave it to his friends and government officials. And that was the biggest, one of the reasons why there was a fallout between Kenyatta and Jaramogi. He also said Raila has not come out to say why he decided to support Ruto. He did. Remember when he said, Ruto goes, then what? Gachagua comes with bad policies. He said that. And then he asked the question, do you know what happens when a government is overthrown? And I would want to ask you if you have any example of any country in Africa where the government has been overthrown and things got better. So that is the reason why Raila came in. I do believe that the government that is formed by William Ruto is formed by the most incompetent that is bad. It is a kakistocracy. But then when I look at the lineup that is there to replace William Ruto, I cannot trade a kakistocracy for another one. The one that is waiting could be worse. So I'd rather stick with Ruto, knowing the bad person he is, as I wait for a good people who can save Kenya to come in. I don't see any good people lining up to come and save Kenya up to now. That is my stand. Coming to your point about Raila having the shots and maybe still being able to give the votes to Ruto, he is able to, because I'm not seeing what would stop him. Because if I would ask maybe you and Mr. Wafula, what do you think would? Because apart from the fact that I come from the same region with Raila, I think this is somebody who is in history of rebranding. He knows what to do when. And just yesterday, when you called me, I was having a similar debate with some people. And we are saying that what is going to happen in Kenya right now is that there is the loud voices of, Ruto is bad. But when you sit back and ask the people who are saying Ruto is bad, you ask them just to pin one reason or two that Ruto is doing that any other government that came in has not done. They would not tell you what. If you tell me one, I'll tell you two, from Kenyatta to Moi to Kibaki to Raila, to Uhuru. These people are doing these things, just that, like I said when I started my talks, it is always easy to point fingers, In this, people talk about the economy. In this same economy, there are people who are not eating, but there are people who are building plots. They are working and they're building plots. Today, even if I'm coming to your point, I'm just trying to build up on something. I'm just trying to answer him. today, even if Jesus Christ was to come and be the president of this country, some people will still complain. And I always give an example of Singapore. You know, when Singapore became a first-class country, a first world, you know, the prime minister was a dictator, and he took Singapore from a very bad state, and he said, I will build Singapore, and people are complaining. You see, but look at where Singapore is today. Singapore is among the countries in the world that has zero external debt. From a country that was poor in 1964, a country that was given debts by Kenya in 1964, to being a first class or whatever, is among the richest countries in the world, you see. So when something is happening, people really need to understand that change is not easy when people are trying to build things. I believe that whatever is happening in Ruto government happened in Uhuru's government. Whatever happened in Uhuru government happened in Kibaki's government, happened in Moi government, and happened in Kenyatta's government.
Yes.
You know. So Raila Odinga is a schemer. Ruto is the person with the force. So these people put together, they still will plan something that will push them forward. Raila is still going to bring the votes. I just came from the village last week, but one, and I took my time to talk to people around there. Of course, it is Raila's backyard. But people are saying, yes, we have reasons. There are emotional, there are social reasons, there are economic reasons why people will still, you know, look at people like Gachagua and Askans, you know, they look at them in suspicion and say, is this the person that we want to listen to? Yeah. So Raila will provide the votes. And if you asked me to respond to the big question, William Ruto and Gachagua, who has the votes? I'll tell you, Ruto has the votes, Gachagua has the grievance. How Gachagua translate his grievance into a movement that translates to votes.
Yes.
Yeah, outside Mount Kenya.
Yes.
That is what we want to see. Because just look at, Gachagua was impeached in August last year, is it?
Does it?
Look at Gachagua 3 months before his impeachment. Was he talking for Kenyans? No. Was he talking for somebody in Trans Nzoia? No. Was he talking for a Masai? No. Was he talking for a Kisi? No. Then why all of a sudden Gachagua has become the Lord, has become the new angel that people are now looking up to? And that would make me tell you, Elijah, that Kenyans are so forgetful, and Kenyans reason with their emotions, they don't reason with their heads. This is somebody who came out publicly and said that, first of all, the reason why I decided now to support Ruto in as much as is bad, Gachagua said his heart is in Mount Kenya. We were saying that from the position of a vice president, we're supposed to speak for the country. So when he said his heart is in Mount Kenya, I don't come from Mount Kenya. Where am I in Gachagua's world? I don't belong there. Where's a Masai in Gachagua's world? He's not there. Where's a Kisi? Where's somebody from Coast? They are not there. So this is somebody who has come out clearly and said his interest is Mount Kenya. Then the same person now has come back,
yes,
and now is claiming to be the new Lord, the new Savior for the whole country. Mine is an X for Gachagua.
That's it.
And I say, I finish by saying, Ruto has the votes, Gachagua has the grievance.
That's it. Mr. Ofula, I want you to lay your response on that as well, just before we move away from that big ally who's one Raila Amolo Odinga. It's the same question that I asked you, gentlemen, that if you look at the people who are allied to that political party for one Raila Amolo Odinga, say for a few who've come out to outrightly say, we do not want this, we do not support this, we will not move with Raila Amolo Odinga on this one. Just a few of them who've come out to say that. It's as if they're waiting for Raila Amolo Odinga to make that decision and say, well, we are back at it again, we will not support one President William Ruto come 2027. On that factor alone, we've seen Raila Amolo Odinga move votes in this country. If you do remember when Raila Amolo Odinga said Kibaki Tosha, that was the very first time that we saw a unanimous support of one Mwai Kibaki in all the voting blocks that Raila Amolo Odinga commanded. That Raila Amolo Odinga who said Raila Tosha to Mwai Kibaki, is it the same one who's going to say Ruto Tosha? And what has he lost if indeed he's not going to be the one?
I think Kenyans, they like supporting confusing narrative, like the ones my friend is talking about. You cannot compare Kenya with Singapore. how can you compare with a successful country with a failing economy, a failing country, a banana republic like ours? You can't make sense by comparing Kenya with Singapore.
Yes.
Because in Singapore, the prime minister have not built a church where he's living in the palace. The prime minister is not dishing out money, stealing public money and trying to bribe people so that they can support him. So here our problem is unique. And our uniqueness of our problem comes from the people we are discussing. Raila Odinga being the one of them. Raila Odinga is the biggest problem than William Ruto. Why am I saying so? Raila Odinga was supposed to defend the people, to keep on defending the people and make sure that William Ruto delivers on his manifesto. If Raila Odinga could be defending the people right now, William Ruto will not be doing the kind of things he has done for us. For instance, William Ruto could not have killed many young people the way he killed, because he killed while with Raila. So according to me, William Ruto is a murderer. Raila Odinga is more a murderer than William Ruto. Why are you supporting a murderer? If I support you and you are killing people, I am more a murderer than you.
Do Raila Amolo Odinga's people share the same conviction that you shared this morning?
Raila Odinga has lost ground.
Yes.
He has only Mashemeji who are just blindly following him because, and for them, they are getting benefit. Maybe there are a number of things that William Ruto is doing in Nyanza.
Yes.
He didn't used to do them, but he's now doing like housing. In Kisumu, there are so many affordable housing coming up. So for Mashemeji, they have a reason to support Raila Odinga. For other Kenyans who have been supporting Raila, they don't have any other reason to support him.
Yes.
Because
you talked about the question. Which begs the question: if Ruto's interest is getting the Western vote, and Raila has it, if I'm going to go by your logic, then that's it.
Western votes. You talk about Nyanza votes because let me tell you the truth.
Yes.
Western votes is very complicated. And right now, you can see young people coming up, the like of Natembea, Sifuna, Kalepu, Amisi, and many others.
Yes.
You know, we in the Western region, we have had the problem. We didn't have a leader who can speak for us. Right now, we have started seeing some few individuals coming up. Like Natembea is more stronger than Mudavadi and Wetangula combined. So the point I'm driving home, can we say Baba did the right thing to support William Ruto? I can tell you he made the grievous mistake to work with this administration. Number two, why is it that, and this question I've talked about it, why is it that whenever William Ruto nobody walk around isolating? And I'm saying, when you look around, when you see now the conversation we are having, Gachagua has drawn the line, has said we have got the Makuso, and the other people, they are there. Now the people are going to be isolated. There are two individuals.
Yes.
Raila Odinga and William Ruto are going to be isolated in Kenyan politics.
Yes.
Why am I saying so? They might manage to unite their tribes. Let's say they have united Nyanza, Rift Valley. You cannot unite Rift Valley because Kikuyus are also almost the majority, if you go by the numbers. So uniting Rift Valley is not possible. William Ruto should know that. Because Rift Valley is a cosmopolitan area whereby when you do mathematically the number of tribes people are living there, you find that the Kalenjin are just like 40% of the population. The other 60% is the other tribes from the other region. So the point I'm driving home, we can unite Nyanza region or Luo Nyanza. Then we get some Kalenjin supporting Ruto.
Yes.
Then the rest of Kenyans who speak a Bantu language will raise against these Nilots. And that is the point that Gachagua is driving at. And he will win. Because, let me tell you, if you talk about tribalism, what Raila is doing under William Ruto is completely tribalism. Yes. Because they are running a narrative of saying, this tribe ruled this country for these years, now this person is ruling. They want to make us look like we are accusing William Ruto for no good reason. And William Ruto has killed our people. William Ruto has completely refused to listen to the young people who have been expressing themselves.
Yes.
Over his administration, the things that he is doing, does not favor anybody in the country.
That's it.
Even in Nyanza region,
yes,
there's a number of people who are jobless. You can't be telling me that the president is creating employment opportunities in Mijengo, building houses. Those are the things that we are doing at the personal levels.
That's it. So guess what? We have 3 minutes before we take a tiny breather, because we also have to figure out who are the biggest allies of one Rigathi Gachagua currently, as it is on Monday. If you look at the state of affairs right now around Raila Amolo Odinga, since he joined forces with one Dr. William Ruto, we've seen he's been a bit silent, not so vocal on the issues that are happening in the country. That you can attest to that. That Raila Amolo Odinga's strategy has always been that when it comes to being vocal on the way that the government is run, on the decisions that the government is making, is always top in terms of telling Kenyans which direction that the country should be taking on such kind of matters. When you look at the current Raila Amolo Odinga, it's quite silent on majority of the issues that are happening in the country. He's not that vocal on the majority of the decisions that the government is making. And it looks as if that was what President William Ruto had always wished for Raila to be in his administration. And he got it. Doesn't that reduce Raila Amolo Odinga's dominance in the country? Is that where we're feeling lost on the impact of one Raila Amolo Odinga in controlling a voting bloc?
It hasn't introduced anything on Raila Amolo Odinga. I want to respond to him.
Yes.
First of all, there is no oath that Raila took anywhere that he will be defending Kenyans. That oath was taken by Gachagua and Ruto. So Raila Odinga does not owe any Kenyans anything in regards to their security. Just, I was quiet when you were talking.
We supported him.
Just that Raila vied and lost, he's in the opposition. Look at what the Constitution says about the opposition leader. So about defending Kenyans, you cannot force Raila to defend Kenyans when he didn't take any oath to do that. Then he's mentioned something about Makuzo, this terminology, this slogan that was coined by Gachagua.
Yes.
To him, it is very okay for Gachagua to say Makuzo, and it is not tribal. Yeah, he said it here. He's embracing Makuzo, and he's boldly saying, when the Makuzo, blows up and then it picks momentum, it is going to sideline Ruto and Raila allies, and it is okay for him when that happens. And then he's also saying that affiliation of Raila and Ruto is tribal because it puts aside a given tribe that he has mentioned.
Yes.
Yeah. So to him, when Israel was fighting where? There's somewhere. I'm a fan of Barack Muluka.
Yes.
Barack Muluka mentioned something because we were seeing when Israel is quiet, those people were hitting them. And when Israel hit, they say, oh, this is bad for humans. You are violating human rights. Then Barack Muluka said, hii ni ile hali ya nikinyamaza na kuogopa, nikikupiga na kuonea. You see? So you provoke me when I beat you, yeah, na kuonea. But when I'm quiet, ananiogopa. You see? So to him, Raila and Ruto are supposed to keep quiet, even when they're provoked.
Yes.
But when they talk, when they also come out,
yes,
and use the same yardstick that Gachagua and his allies are using on Raila and Ruto, it is bad. So you see the bias that he has. So
I want you to hold your thoughts right there.
Yeah.
You don't forget it, because I want us to take a tiny breather. Once we come back, pick your sentiments on that one as well, on why you think indeed that Raila Amolo Odinga still got that command that he's always been known for. And by the way, if I remind you, once we're going into the general elections in 2022, if you do remember indeed, people and all the analysts in the country were fighting on where the votes are going to come from. They said it's going to be a tight race between one Raila Amolo Odinga and Ruto. And indeed, it was a tight race. We do remember 200,000 votes separated those gentlemen. Is it okay to argue that indeed the 200,000 can be got if you retain some of the metrics and just the elite one will be telling you exactly what the analysts are saying and what one Brigadier Gachagua is eyeing? Once we come back right here on the Morning Drift, my name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage at Lookup TV. Talk to us.
People are there to belittle you. When people are questioning you,
if you don't move fast, of course, yes, you lose it, but then it's not us to push you.
But you do not know the God who has been molding me. What has he been doing to me?
The deep and mature conversations of empowerment for you with a curious mind and an appetite for oriented conversations.
I concur with what you're saying. You plan your finances, you can easily live without a debt.
An engaging safe space of free expression and truthfulness with an upheld vibrance, motivation and happiness.
So many children who are there, they are not living their dreams.
Join us for deep conversations with Zipporah Gashushe every Saturday from 8 p.m. The Deeper Conversations on Lookup TV.
Taarifa zinapochipuka na kutufikia papa hapa kwenye makao makuu ya chumba cha habari cha runinga ya Lookup, kwenye taifa, kwenye serikali, kwenye bunge, tunajitosa hadi kwenye sauti ya wenyeji ili kupata tu maoni ya wenyeji kuhusu masuala haya yanayochipuka.
Maana hii kitu inaenda kuumiza Mkenya kwa tax.
Hakuna kitu tunafurahia. Nothing. Absolutely nothing.
Sisi tunaumia, si ati tunaumia ile ya kiukweli. Juu maisha ni ngumu.
Na bila shaka tunapata maoni yao ili sauti yao ipate kusikika. Na watasema hili, waseme lile, watasema hiki, na waseme kile, almuradi sauti yao ipate taa.
Mambo ya mafuta tena imekuwa ni changamoto zaidi kwa kila mtu wa bodaboda.
Uchumi ikikuwa stable, tunaamini mambo itakuwa sawa sawa.
Kwanza liko na ria wasa wa boda, mama mboga nini. Hawa sasa ndio wamefinywa zaidi mazuri.
Mtazamaji, hii ni bunge la wenyeji.
And Lookup TV across all your social media platforms. My name is Simba Elijah Charles Kiage. We are deep into our main conversation this morning, which is between Ruto and Gachagua allies who's got the vote. Let me take you back to Omondi. He was just clearing his sentiments before we took that break. What you're saying, well, the silence for Raila Amolo Odinga is getting used to attack him. Can you complete your sentiments, Omondi?
Repeat.
Yes.
My stand remains that William Ruto has the votes and Gachagua has the grievance. Coming to your point, the silence we are seeing from Raila Odinga is strategical. It's a strategy. Raila Odinga is somebody who would go back, look at the way things are happening. Look at after the 2022 elections. It was Raila is going to Bondo. He's in Bondo right now. This is somebody who knows how he schemes his way out. And I was just telling you before we stopped that we're having a conversation yesterday where we're talking about Raila, planning the next move. And we are saying, we don't know what this old man is thinking.
Yes.
So we cannot rule him out. Raila cannot go somewhere blindly. Look at Raila with Moi. Moi knew Raila was done. Was he? Then Raila went to Kibaki. Yeah? You see the Nusumkati time, Raila was frustrated and everything, and he was crying everywhere, the Nusumkeka thing. And then when we went to the elections in 2000, and after that, when things happened, Raila became the prime minister, and look at 2013, all the way Raila has been there. So Raila still has the potential, and he has the ability to deliver the votes that William Ruto wants. The only thing that I must say right now, that maybe I might agree with Mr. Wafula partially, is William Ruto is getting it wrong on something very small. His priorities are a little distant from the immediate needs of Kenyans. He is focusing on long-term goals when Kenyans need immediate goals. No, that is the only thing that William Ruto is not trying to. Like you do so when they said they had the NADCO report that need to be implemented. What is in that NADCO report that is so hard for William Ruto to implement is we as the Raila supporters are still wondering if he can implement that, then 2027 will be a walkover for William Ruto. I don't see anybody who is going to match William Ruto in the votes in 2027. And I'm confidently telling you that William Ruto is going to win the elections in 2027.
Because there's a direct question I want to ask you on that as well, because there's a defining factor in it.
Yeah.
I would like for Wafula to respond, because before we cross over then to who the Gachagua allies are, you say that indeed Raila Amolo Odinga doesn't have that move, the pull that has always been associated with him. But we saw the strategy that one William Ruto used in 2022, when he knew the exact number of votes that he needed to pull in the Western region. And if you remember, there are analysts who said, well, guess what? That difference of the 200,000 votes only came from one area in the Western region. Because he knew Raila Amolo Odinga historically has swept over 80% of that vote. There are times where he's gotten up to 90% of the Western vote. But then one William Ruto said, I need an ally from the Western side who's going to give me that vote. Case in point, went with one Moses Wetangula and Musalia Mudavadi. And they delivered, albeit a little number, but then that's the number that was needed for one Ruto to clinch that election. And he did. So somebody is saying that Raila Amolo Odinga doesn't have that pull. What if Raila Amolo Odinga comes with half the pull that he had in 2022? Critics are still saying that he still can give President Ruto the victory. Yes.
He went, he picked on Raila Odinga just as a shortcut for his 2027 election.
Yes.
But unfortunately, he got it wrong, because this man left people on the street without giving them any concrete reason why he has agreed with William Ruto to join him and work with him when servers were not opened, when the truth about the 2022 election, general election, have not come out clearly. Then, when he joined William Ruto, he started fighting Gachagua. His business was to impeach Gachagua. And William Ruto is not clever politically, because William Ruto fallen into the trap of Raila Odinga. Raila Odinga wanted Gachagua out, and he succeeded by impeaching Gachagua. When Gen Z were protesting, Gachagua came out clearly. While in office, he defended the Gen Z. That is the reason why these young people listen to Gachagua more than they do even to Raila Odinga or to any other leader in Kenya. Because Gachagua defended Gen Zs when they were demonstrating while in office, before they impeached him. So, and this is the point now I want to associate Gachagua with their winning team.
Yes.
Because for Gachagua, he has realized that William Ruto and Raila Odinga, they have a plan to isolate Kikuyus. And what Gachagua has done is also to unite with like-minded leaders from other tribes to make sure that they defend the Kikuyus who are supposed to be
Yes.
And for that reason, to support any other person. Gachagua knows very well that if he runs for presidency, he would have given William Ruto a direct second term. So Gachagua is not running for for 2027 presidential bid.
He said that he's running.
But you know,
yes,
William Ruto is working around, he's supporting, he's using some people to push Gachagua to run.
Yes.
And if Gachagua will be running, then the chances of William Ruto being re-elected, it will rise, because we have had Uhuru Kenyatta for 10 years. And the narrative William Ruto is selling to the people.
Yes.
He's saying, look, you know Kikuyus, they like themselves. You know, when Uhuru Kenyatta was ruling this country, they never complained. They never complained about Kibaki. They never complained about Jomo Kenyatta. That nonsensical narrative will only sell if Kikuyus can buy it, if Kikuyus can front somebody this time round,
yes,
to challenge William Ruto.
Yes,
but if a Kikuyu is not going to run, you can take it to bank, because these people, their votes are close to 8 million votes. So let us give them 7 million votes. Let's say they have fronted somebody like Mohisa Kitui. I can say Mohisa Kitui because I supported this man to become the president. Among this team of opposition, the person who has the network, the person who has the experience, and the person who understands economy is Mohisa Kitui. But also I want to tell you, in Nyanza region, I have got my friends whom I know they are running for presidents. There are more than 3. They might unite and front one. In case Raila Odinga is not running, there is a Luo who will be a presidential candidate, a very serious presidential candidate than Raila Odinga. Because Raila Odinga, some of us, we mistakenly took him serious. But the things he has done with William Ruto, he has been silent over the brutality of police brutality against GNCs. He has silent over the things that William Ruto has said in public, including shooting people at the legs. He talks in parables as if addressing some other people in other countries. Mm-hmm. But Raila Odinga never came out strongly the way I know him. That's why we are saying Raila Odinga might maintain his following in Luo Nyanza, but in some other regions, because even me, I was a serious supporter of Raila Odinga. Mm-hmm. I supported him, I campaigned for him, I ran for a member of parliament in Embakasi South, I stepped aside for Sumra because I believed in this man. But now, what Mzee has done, and this confusing narrative is persistent, because in 2002, I was in class 8. Raila Odinga endorsed Kibaki out of desperation. But now people call it as he was the man who made Kibaki the president. That confusing narrative must come to an end. And that tainted history is what Raila has all along since he was born.
Pretty much. Just one moment. I want us to look at who Gachagua allies are, even as you get ready to respond to what Ofula said. And the only way that we can analyze who Gachagua allies are is look at his party, the DCP party. And I'm going to read top officials in that party. Of course, we do anticipate as Kenyans that parties will come together to form a force as we go into a general election. And I'm going to read these officials. But currently as it is, these are the standout allies of one Rigathi Gachagua. Number one, I'm going to read the top roles that have been given to members of the officials of the DCP party. We do have Cabinet Secretary, former Mithika Linturi, who's going to be the National Organizing Secretary. We do have former Laikipia Woman Representative Kate Waruguru, all right, as the National Women's Leader, and former Limuru Member of Parliament, Peter Mwadhi, to be the Deputy Party Chair of Strategy, all right? It goes on, Hesbon Obanga, who will be the Secretary General, Han Mutua, who's going to be the Treasurer, Andrew Kiplimo Muge, who's going to be the Director of Elections, and Maina Kamanda, Chairperson of the Council of Eminent Persons, and Alex Hamasi, who's the National Coordinator counties. Also, we do have Mercy Gakuya, who's going to be the Secretary for Education, and Hussein Admane as the Secretary for Tourism, and John Maraga to represent persons with disabilities. If we're going to talk about allies who are already in the movement to see to the final the journey of one Brigadier Gachagua, these are the ones. Are they enough?
Do you remember what I said when I started? I said, what Gachagua does with his grievance to translate into vote outside Mount Kenya is what we are waiting to see.
Yes.
From what you've seen, do you see a possibility of Gachagua getting out of Mount Kenya? If from what you've seen, the leadership of DCP, do you see that aside? Now, I want to come back to you, but actually, I really wanted to respond to him. One, now I see where the problem is. He said he was in class 8 in 2002. I was in Form 4 then, so it means I've been in the political landscape long enough to have more information than he does. So now, let me tell Mr. Wafula something. I just forgot something very important.
Yes.
Let me remind Mr. Wafula that in 1964, Kenya gave Singapore a loan. Singapore was broke up to that level that Kenya lent Singapore. Today, Singapore can feed the economy of Singapore, I think, can feed Kenyans for several years. Yeah? And Singapore actually did not have anything at that particular time. So we have all the rights to compare Singapore with Kenya, because Kenya lent Singapore in 1964.
Yes.
Check history, it's there. So that Mr. Wafula needs to know. Now, Mr. Wafula keeps talking about, actually, I did not want to go, berserk on mentioning, tribes and everything. And he keeps mentioning Kikuyus, because I think that is the easiest way of gaining sympathy with the public, because what is happening right now is that Ruto and Gachagua are at loggerheads. Gachagua is Kikuyu, Ruto is Kalenjin, and then Raila is coming in as a Luo. So it is easy for him to sell a narrative around Kikuyus being sidelined, and then, it is also in public domain that people are saying Kikuyus are the people with the economy, Kikuyus are the people with the majority and everything. Let me also correct him that in the ended election, the one that we ended, the Kikuyu votes were 5.5 for Ruto, 5.5 million, and 4.5 from the Rift Valley.
Yes.
Now, when we talk about, the reason why I'm telling you that I'm confident that if Gachagua does not sell himself outside Mount Kenya, he will not get the votes. Look, if you look at Central, the way it is right now, Kirinyaga, Nyeri, and where? Some parts of those bigger counties are intact for Gachagua. About 3 big counties in Mount Kenya are intact for Gachagua. He has won them. He has the backing of the elders and everybody, thanks to the one man, one vote. That is what also brought problems with Gachagua and Ruto, and they have supported that.
Yes.
Now, if you leave the 3 major counties, let us come to Tharaka-Nithi, Meru, and Embu. Historically, these people have never been outside power. They don't follow because of tribe. They follow because of power, and they alienate themselves based on where the power shifts are. So it is not guaranteed for Gachagua that because he's from the mountain, Gema communities, the Tharaka-Nithi, the Embu and the Meru are going to follow him. You might brush it aside, but it is what is on record. They might not. It is not a guarantee for him. Go to Rift Valley. Is there anybody challenging Ruto's influence there? It means Ruto still has his 4.5 intact in the Rift Valley. I did not want to come to this level because I wanted us to have a bigger debate that maybe that would give us a solution for the problems of Kenyans.
Yes.
But now that he has narrowed it down to this level, let me also tell him what I understand about that bit. Now, if you get out of there, now you would want to go to places like Nairobi and maybe Nyanza and Western. Normally, I consider Western votes as the spices. I don't consider them as the main dish. Western would always put a few here, put a few there. They always know the main dish. They are the spices. They are the roiko and the kitungus of the votes in Kenya. So they might decide to put 1 million for Ruto, 800 for Gachagua, and something like that. If you go to Northeastern, you 700,000 votes. They are intact for Ruto, and it is not disputed. Nyanza, maybe Ruto might get like 90% because there are dissenting voices in Nyanza. You see, so this thing that we've been here for some time to be in a position to tell the possible outcomes of elections in Kenya, in Africa, and in the world. You see?
That's it. Omondi, just before you respond, because I'll come back to you as well, because we're trying to figure out who Gachagua allies are.
Yeah.
It's important to also know that the community factor which Gachagua is riding on is really heavy, because the community that he comes from, Omondi, controls more than 5 million votes in this country.
Yes,
so you're saying that indeed, if he invests his energies in this community and launch a big onslaught on one President Dr. William Ruto in it, and also introduce a factor, and let me just remind you, I was told to ask you this question, that the Raila Amolo Odinga factor in the central part of the country has never worked out for him. That they view it completely differently, that any other person who goes to the central part of the community with Raila Amolo Odinga ends up not getting what they want, and that we've seen it happen before. So do you think that if indeed, and one Rigathi Gachagua said, well, look here, my allies are my community and the rest of the Kenyans who wants to get one President Dr. William Ruto out of office. So if his biggest allies are his community, which essentially form the biggest voting bloc, one of the biggest voting blocs in this country, and the Raila Amolo Odinga factor within that community, aren't we going to say that indeed one Rigathi Gachagua might achieve what Ruto achieved in the 2022 election within that community, and if that is the case, then President Ruto is out of office?
There is something that we need to understand.
Yes.
Let us look at Gachagua as Rigathi Gachagua.
Yes.
You see, now, when Rigathi Gachagua was impeached, weren't there MPs from Central who participated in his impeachment?
Pretty much.
Yeah. Now, the fact that MPs from Gachagua's backyard participated in his impeachment means that he does not control Central 100%.
Yes.
And I was about to forget. If you look at Kiambu, Kiambu is divided in their support for Gachagua, and I'll tell you why. Yeah, it might come as a surprise, but it is pragmatically correct. How? Just yesterday, I saw something in the social media, a statement from Moses Kuria, who comes from Kiambu, I believe.
Yes.
Moses Kuria was saying Gachagua should not pose as the kingpin of Central. Why? He was there. Now, Gachagua is claiming to be the person who has become the god of Central. But he was in the same room where Gachagua, organized and paid people to go and steal Uhuru Kenyatta's ship. Uhuru Kenyatta is from Central. Moses Kuria said that he witnessed frustration from members of parliament who wanted to see Gachagua, and Gachagua was not there for them. So, in as much as when they were campaigning for Uhuru, for Ruto, they were a pact. There are some MPs who feel frustrated by Gachagua, who still have following in Central. You see. Now, when I talk about Kiambu, Kiambu is a place that you'll get, they are maybe call them the ordinary or the hoi polloi of that area, who will just buy, emotions and say, Gachagua is the martyr of Central, and they'll just vote for him. But there are also the intellectuals who will post and reason and say, no, this is not the person we are looking for. So for Kiambu, it is not guaranteed for Gachagua. They are resenting voices from Kiambu.
Yeah. Pretty much. But I want to put this question across. And by the way, Calista, they're telling me that they have problem with your sound. Hopefully they fix it by the time I'm done asking this question, because we have 5 minutes left on this one as well. We got to figure out, that be it, whatever it is that we're saying, trying to really look at where the numbers are going to come from, where the allies are going to come from. There's the big factor here, the Gen Z vote, which analysts are also saying is going to be a big factor in 2027. Gentlemen, it looks as if it is headed somewhere away from one President Dr. William Ruto. If the protests that we've seen in this country are anything to go by, that if indeed, if you are an ally of the Gen Z in this country, then indeed you have moved that vote away from one President Dr. William Ruto. Is that what we're going to look at? Or Calista, you can take that question. Hopefully they've fixed your sound as you speak now. Yes. Unfortunately, hold on your thoughts. Callistus, they don't have your sound, because I really want you to make that that submission when you have the sound.
As you wait, maybe.
That's it, Omondi. Now you have the benefit of our technology
Thank
in the
you.
studio. Please, could you please
the
take that
winning
question? that indeed, it's going to be big. And we do expect a lot of voter registration mobilization from every other person who's vying against Dr. President William Ruto to wow that Gen Z vote, which is going to be a big factor in the 2027 election. But then on Monday, you can't sit there and say that they do have it. I've been told. You're back on. So take 2 minutes and then take 2 minutes as well. Yes. In fact, take 3.
I think
yes.
you give me
and
3 minutes.
And 1 minute as we close.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to respond to my friend.
Does it?
They need to appreciate that Raila Odinga is where he is because of the Western region support.
Yes.
That one is a fact. Number 2, you cannot say they have been dishing votes, they give there and there. We have not been, our votes, we have been giving Raila Odinga over 75%. So meaning, we have been with the Baba 100%.
Yes.
So the point I'm driving at home is that right now, I don't think a sane person can comfortably face the camera and say, I'm supporting William Ruto. In fact, the next conversation we must have is that what has William Ruto done?
Does it?
Ask me, I'll tell you.
But he has nothing to give us. Another narrative they are selling is about, you know, how the Kikuyus have ruled this country for long. They have ruled for long because of lack of leadership. If you look at Raila Odinga, I was supporting him, but I've come to know that he is more worse than William Ruto. Number 2, in Western region,
yes,
there are 2 gentlemen, Musalia Mudavadi and Mosweta. They are the reason why our community is ashamed. Why? Because whenever these people find their way into national table to discuss about anything, they discuss about themselves. And they can confirm because William Ruto gave Musalia Mudavadi employment. He employed Moses Wetangula because he doesn't have numbers in parliament. That is a fact. Now about Gachagua. Gachagua, I have told you, he defended Gen Z. Gen Z have not forgotten. Gen Z, they know very well that Raila Odinga is eating and fattening with William Ruto. That is a fact. Number 2,
yes,
Gen Z will not support William Ruto.
Yes.
That by force, by fire, they are going to support another person.
That's it.
But not William Ruto.
That's it.
So you can find out. And when we discuss about tribes, look at what now William Ruto will have. Because he can't replace Mount Kenya. That is a fact. You can't replace Mount Kenya with any other region votes.
Yes.
So this man, the only way he can succeed is by dividing the opposition, by inciting Gachagua to run, so that who is this person? Kalonzo Musyoka can leave.
Yes.
Then the other people maybe they split because of the same. But if these people will remain together,
yes,
and I've told you, when you talk about the best candidate to defeat William Ruto, all of these people are capable of defeating William Ruto, including Gachagua.
Pretty much.
So, but it depends on
yes,
how we shall organize ourselves. For me, I have the benefit of talking to these leaders. So the kind of lineup you have given us is neither here or there.
Mm-hmm. Pretty much. Guess what? We have a minute. Omoni, I want to respond to that.
Yes.
That, according to Wafula, the allies around Gachagua are still forming, and they will form. That there's a conviction that if Gachagua runs against Dr. President William Ruto, then they are losing. And they know that. That indeed, if the allies for Gachagua come, and then they push a candidate, that is still Gachagua winning against President Dr. William Ruto. And I want you to take 15 seconds as well and answer that question. The Gen Z vote, it cannot go to Ruto according to Wafula.
You see, Mr. Wafula is a very interesting guy. Now, he's been meeting mad people who support Ruto on cameras, but for the first time today, he's meeting a sane person facing the camera and saying, I support Ruto. Now, Mr. Wafula, let me tell you something.
Yes, 1 minute, by the way.
You see, one, there is no Rigathi Gachagua who supported the Gen Zs until that support was working to his favor. Mr. Wafula, check your notes again. I repeat, there is no Rigathi Gachagua who supported the Gen Z. And I'm sure the Gen Z did not only arise in 2024 during the finance bill protests. They were there when Rigathi Gachagua became the deputy president of the Republic of Kenya. And I believe, Mr. Wafula, that Gen Zs were in Kisumu, they were in Migori, they were in Homa Bay, they were in Siaya, they were in Embakasi Pipeline, they were in Kibera and Madare when Rigathi Gachagua and Ruto were bosom of friends. You see, so there is no Rigathi Gachagua who was supporting the Gen Z. Rigathi Gachagua is just some kind of a blabbermouth who is, looking at things. He has really seen that Kenyans are hurting, which I agree. Kenyans are hurting, and the grievances of Kenyans are very, pertinent, and the president needs to respond. He should now, this is my advice to him as a supporter, that
15 seconds.
If he can listen to this simple voice of mine, he should listen to the basic needs, the cries of Kenyans,
yes,
and do whatever is needed, because there is nobody who is better than him in replacement. So the votes of the Gen Zs is very key. Very, very key.
Does it?
Yeah. And just give me a minute. I'm finishing.
5 seconds.
5 seconds.
Somebody wants us out of the studio.
Okay. Now, Mr. Wafula should know,
yes,
one other thing, that he should stop, every time mentioning Kikuyus, be what Kikuyus. Let us just talk about things that are going to help Kenyans without mentioning, facts about mentioning tribes and this and that and that. It is not necessary.
Does it?
Yeah.
Pretty much. Guess what, gentlemen? I want to call you back so we can even look at these scorecards that we're talking about here this morning. I think that will be a proper conversation. But as you can hear from our gentlemen that we have had this morning, is that indeed there is that conversation to be had. And if indeed their sentiments go by, then we have to wait and see. Thank you very much for joining us, Omode. Happy to meet you. Callistus, we've lost each other for so long, man. Happy to see you again. All right? Check them online and Look Up TV across all your social media platforms. We take a tiny breather. Once we come back, I'll be taking you to the business world where we get to talk about the state of telecommunications in the country 2025. Good morning.